Hi, my name is Kelly and welcome to my Kickstarter project. First, I'll take you through how and why my software was created, and then I'll show you the software itself. Thanks, enjoy! So now let's take a look at the current version of the Student Design Labs software application. So if I'm a student, I'll click here, and there's a demo one that I can log in as. And once I log in, here it shows me the labs that my teacher has available for me to use. So let's click on the first one and start working on this lab. It asks me, do I already have data, meaning I've done the lab and I'm ready to input and analyze my data, or am I starting at the very beginning? So let's start at the beginning. And here you see on the left, they have parts where the students can input, and they can put in their group members. Once they click into a section, they're shown the specific information and the grading information and any tips or anything that the teacher has put in there for them over on the right. And as they click through sections, that changes to be specific for that section. So any teacher who has provided their students with a grading rubric on a piece of paper and asked the students to use that grading rubric as they design their experiment knows that students have a hard time juggling all of that information. So in this program, when you click on a section, you get just the grading rubric for just that section. It's easier for students to focus. So here on this first screen, they can see the overall information the teacher put in about the lab. Anything in purple is what the teacher has put in. Any of these boxes are where the student can input information. So they write their group members and they design their title, purpose, question, problem, any background information that they have. And then here is where they design their analysis section. And this is where it starts to get into the backwards design process. That usually the next section you would see in a lab would be the safety or materials. But in this one, they're going to look at the analysis or the calculations or the trend recognition. What is our final answer going to look like to address this purpose, problem, or question? So it might be an equation they need to calculate. It might be that what the axes are going to be for a graph. There's this little wizard here that they can go into to help them. Are you doing repeat trials? Will you need to create a graph? Will you have dependent per independent? And they can use this wizard to help populate this section for them, or they can do it on their own. So once this is filled out, they go to their next section, and things that they don't need to focus on anymore disappear for them. So the box where they put in their group members' names, they don't need that information for this next step of the design process, so it goes away. They can always get back to it by going previous, but for this step, you'll see the purpose that they've already put in, the background information, and the analysis section that they have already designed in the previous screen. And now they can design their data table. Once they've designed their data table, they can design their procedure. How are they going to get that data? So we start with what is our final analysis going to look like to answer this purpose? What data do we need to do that analysis? And now how are we going to get that data? Then when you go to the next step, they have procedure. They can still see the procedure. What materials and safety do they need to be able to do that procedure? And then once they're at that point, they can view their lab report, and that brings it up in a web browser where they can view it and print it in a normal order. Everything is in the order that it typically is in. Or they can go ahead and enter their data right then. And so that takes them to where they can enter their data. They can change the procedure if they realize that they changed something when they were doing the lab. But they can enter their data and their observations and then fill in that analysis section. So now they're actually doing those calculations or creating those graphs or looking at those trends that they set up the blank template for earlier. Now they're actually going in. They can add an image. Right now it has to be an image that is copy and pasted from another program. Like they went into Excel and created a graph and they copied and pasted that graph into this program. One of the upgrades that I'm going to do is have native graphing control and capability. Then their next section is, now that they have that data, observations, and analysis, now they're going to look at their results and their conclusion section. And then once they're done with this, they can choose to send the report to their teacher. And so it saved it, and then it says it's submitted to the teacher. Or you can print it. When we then go to our main menu, then you'll see down here that this is a lab that has been sent to their teacher's inbox. That's the one that we just sent. Earlier when we were on the screen, this box wasn't showing up because they didn't have anything in the teacher's inbox. If they made a mistake and they don't want to send it to their teacher, they can remove it from their teacher's inbox. Just like up here, they can send something to their inbox. So now let's log out and see what it looks like from the teacher's point of view. The student just sent that lab to the teacher's inbox, and now here it is on the main screen of the teachers. They can go in and comment on it. The black is anything that the student did. The orange is anything that the teacher commented, and just ignore all these randomness that's in here. This is just a test account that I play with, so all these random things that are in here, you can just ignore them. But the teacher also sees the grading rubric. So when the teacher is reading their title, they can see the grading rubric, write any comments to the student, assign a point value to the student, and then down at the bottom, it'll give their total points and things. And then I can choose to leave it in my inbox, which no, I'm done grading it. So now when I go back to my inbox, it's gone. Teachers have all sorts of capability on this. They can work with labs, which means they active or archive their labs. Teachers can set it up so that they choose to share their labs either with other teachers in their school or with all teachers. And so this is a place where teachers can view labs from other teachers. Say if a teacher down the hall has a lab set up in here, you can go in and view it and then save it to your own account. They can't change somebody else's lab, but they can save it to their own account and then change it. They can create new labs. They can pre-fill in a lab for a student so that maybe that teacher wants the background section to already be filled in for the student so that they don't have to do it themselves. And so the teacher can go in and pre-fill sections so that when the students create a lab, that pre-fill is in there for them. They can copy labs, delete labs. They can work with students' accounts. They can view or delete a student lab report. They can copy a lab from one student to another. So let's say 2 students work together to design the lab, but then the teacher wants them each to write their own conclusion. So the lab can be copied to the other student's account so that the design part of it is the same, but then they each write their own conclusion. You can change or delete a student account, add student accounts, that sort of maintenance things for the teachers. Lots of upgrades are going to be happening in this teacher part of the software too. So that's the current version and what it currently can do. Again, I have lots of upgrades planned. You can see them all on the web link lower on my Kickstarter proposal page. And also the main thing that I'm wanting to do is deploy it for tablets too, so that we can have Windows, Mac, iOS, and Android deployment for this. So thank you very much for taking the time to look at my program and see what it's all about. And I hope very much that you support my Kickstarter program. Thanks. Bye.